It usually begins the same way. You're lying down after a long day. The room is quiet. The lights are low. And just as your body finally relaxes into the softness of the moment, you feel it. A warm presence moves closer. Soft paws press gently against your chest. A familiar breath brushes your skin. And then suddenly, your dog starts licking your face. Again. And again. And again. Not just once. Not just occasionally. But constantly, almost as if they can't stop. You laugh at first. Maybe you turn your head away. Maybe you say their name with a soft protest. But they continue. Focused. Intent. Almost emotional. And in that moment, a quiet question begins to form. Why do they do this? Most dog owners believe they already know the answer. It's affection. A simple sign of love. A dog's version of a kiss. And while that explanation feels comforting, it only scratches the surface. Because behavioral science tells a very different story. What looks like a harmless, even sweet behavior, is actually a deeply layered form of communication shaped by thousands of years of evolution, emotional bonding, and neurological wiring. When a dog licks your face constantly, they are not just showing love. They are speaking. And the message is far more complex than most people realize. To understand it, we have to step outside the human world for a moment and into theirs. In the early stages of a dog's life, licking is one of the first social behaviors they ever learn. Puppies lick their mother's face to stimulate regurgitation of food. It is a survival mechanism. A way to ask for nourishment. But more importantly, it becomes one of their earliest forms of communication. A signal. A request. A connection. As they grow, this behavior evolves. It no longer serves the same biological function, but the emotional structure behind it remains. Licking becomes a tool for interaction. For bonding. For maintaining social harmony. In a pack environment, submissive members often lick the faces of dominant ones. Not out of fear, but out of recognition. It's a gesture that says, I trust you. I acknowledge you. I am safe with you. So when your dog licks your face constantly, they are not just acting on instinct. They are engaging in an ancient language. One that predates domestication itself. But here's where it becomes even more fascinating. Modern research in animal behavior and neuroscience has revealed that this behavior is closely tied to emotional regulation. Studies from institutions like Emory University and Duke University have explored how dogs process social bonding and attachment. Their findings suggest that dogs form relationships with humans that are strikingly similar to the bonds between human infants and caregivers. In these studies, dogs showed increased attention and emotional response to their owners' faces, especially when making eye contact or engaging in physical interaction. Licking, in this context, becomes more than a habit. It becomes a way to reinforce that bond. A way to maintain closeness. A way to say, without words, stay connected to me. But the story doesn't stop there. Because inside your dog's brain, something even more powerful is happening. Every time your dog licks your face, their brain releases oxytocin. Often called the bonding hormone, oxytocin plays a critical role in social attachment, trust, and emotional connection. It's the same chemical that strengthens the bond between a mother and her child. The same chemical released when humans hug, touch, or feel deeply connected to someone. And remarkably, studies have shown that this process is mutual. When dogs interact affectionately with their owners, both the dog and the human experience an increase in oxytocin levels. A biological loop of connection. A shared emotional feedback system. So when your dog licks your face constantly, they are not just expressing affection. They are actively reinforcing your bond at a chemical level. They are, quite literally, deepening your relationship with every interaction. But there is another layer. One that is often overlooked. Dogs are incredibly sensitive to emotional states. They read facial expressions, body language, tone of voice. even subtle changes in your breathing. And when they sense something, they respond. Licking, in many cases, is a calming behavior. It's a way for dogs to regulate their own emotions, and sometimes, yours. If you've ever noticed your dog licking you more when you're stressed, sad, or quiet, that's not a coincidence. It's perception. Dogs can detect shifts in cortisol levels, the hormone associated with stress. And when they do, they often engage in behaviors designed to restore balance. Licking is one of them. Repetitive, soothing, grounding. It helps lower their own anxiety, while simultaneously offering comfort to you. In this way, your dog is not just reacting. They are responding with intention. Trying, in their own way, to stabilize the emotional environment. To bring things back to a state of safety. But then comes the deeper question. Why the face? Why not just your hands, or your arms, or your clothing? The answer lies in proximity and significance. Your face is one of the most important social signals your dog recognizes. It's where your eyes are. Your expressions. Your voice. It's where your identity lives. From a dog's perspective, your face is not just a body part. It is you. So when they lick your face, they are targeting the center of your presence. Engaging directly with the part of you that communicates emotion most clearly. It's intimate, intentional, focused, and in many cases, deeply emotional. But not all face licking means the same thing. And this is where awareness becomes important. If your dog suddenly increases this behavior, if it becomes excessive, urgent, or different in tone, it may signal something beyond affection. Dogs sometimes use licking as a coping mechanism. A way to deal with anxiety, overstimulation, or uncertainty. In behavioral studies, repetitive licking has been linked to mild stress responses, especially in environments that feel unpredictable. So if your dog begins licking your face constantly in situations where they previously didn't, it may be worth observing the context. Are there changes in their routine? New environments? Unfamiliar people? Subtle shifts in your own behavior? Because sometimes, what looks like affection is actually a request. A quiet signal asking for reassurance. And when you recognize that, everything changes. Because now, you're not just receiving the behavior. You're understanding it. And that understanding transforms the relationship. Because the truth is, your dog is not just licking you. They are communicating with you in one of the oldest languages they know. A language built on survival. Refined through evolution. And strengthened through thousands of years of living alongside humans. From the earliest days of domestication, dogs have adapted to us in ways no other species has. They have learned our patterns, our emotions, our rhythms. And in return, they have offered something extraordinary. Unfiltered connection. No pretense. No complexity. Just presence. So when your dog licks your face constantly, it is not random. It is not meaningless. It is a behavior layered with history, biology, and emotion. It is attachment. It is regulation. It is communication. But more than anything, it is trust. Because in the wild, vulnerability is dangerous. And yet your dog chooses to come close. To make contact. To engage with you in a way that requires openness. That requires safety. That requires belief. And that is the deeper meaning. Not just I love you. But I feel safe with you. I choose you. I trust you completely. And once you see it that way, that simple, repetitive behavior begins to feel very different. It becomes quieter. More significant. Almost profound. Because in a world where communication is often complicated, your dog is speaking to you in the simplest, most honest way they know. And all it takes is for you to understand. If your dog does this, pay attention to the moments. Notice when it happens. How it feels. What changes. Because those small behaviors often carry the deepest meanings. And if you've ever experienced this, if your dog has ever looked at you and done this with that same quiet intensity, you already know. There's something more there. Something beyond words. If you found this perspective meaningful, take a moment to share your experience. What does your dog do that feels like more than just behavior? And if you want to understand your dog on a deeper level, subscribe and explore the next video. Because sometimes, the smallest actions reveal the biggest truths. And there is one more layer, often unnoticed, but deeply important. Scent. Dogs experience the world primarily through smell. Your face carries a rich map of chemical information, traces of your sweat, your breath, even subtle hormonal signals that change throughout the day. When your dog licks your face, they are not only expressing emotion, they are gathering information. They are learning about you in real time. Who you are in that exact moment. Whether you are calm, anxious, tired, or emotionally distant. This behavior is part investigation, part connection. A blend of instinct and attachment. In some behavioral observations, dogs have been shown to use licking as a way to refresh their understanding of their human. Almost like checking in. Reconfirming. You are still here. You are still you. And in a strange way, it mirrors something deeply human. The need to reconnect. To feel presence. To confirm closeness. So the next time your dog leans in, gently, repeatedly, without hesitation. It may not just be affection. It may be their way of saying, I feel you. I understand you. And I'm still right here with you.